Get fun, in-depth coverage and analysis from the latest in professional wrestling in AEW, WWE, NWA, Impact Wrestling, or the world of entertainment. From hit TV shows to your favorite sports like the NBA or NFL. All things music, movies, and beyond, while trying to make sense of this crazy world we live in. All while keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive since 2011. And now your host, live from the nation's capital of Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Covering the latest in wrestling, entertainment, and beyond since 2011. You're checking out episode number 1056 of the RCWR Show. We haven't said the number like for the past couple of episodes, and of course that was because a couple of weeks ago I came down with COVID, so I had unfortunately missed a couple of shows there. I was out for about 2 weeks and everything, so I am still slowly getting back into the groove of things as far as uploading the audio for you guys, the audio version of the shows. I did manage to get one up over the weekend. I still owe you guys a couple of more till we're caught up in real time. How the hell y'all been, man? I hope you all had a fantastic weekend. I definitely did. By the way, you longtime listeners, let me know if what you're hearing right now helps substantially, because I was playing around with the audio settings over the weekend, and for my personal taste, I kind of noticed that the noise gate was a bit too overpowering, so I actually turned it off. So for those of you that you're not really sure if there's even a difference at all, trust me, if you normally check out the shows on a regular basis, whether it's live, the webcast, or you're representing for on demand and on the downloads, you notice the difference. Hopefully by having the noise gate off, this helps you guys out a lot more, because I know I had recently, and once in the blue moon, I'll play certain shows back. I'll let about 5 to 10 minutes run, and I'll either check out the beginning, or I'll go to a certain section, maybe the middle of the show or towards the end, just to see what's going on. And I was noticing some things with the last couple of shows that made me go, let me play around with this a little bit better and see if we can fine-tune this a lot more. So hopefully by turning off the noise gate, that helped tremendously. I still have the de-esser on for my audio processing. The de-esser, that basically has to do with S words and all that other loveliness, making sure those get captured and everything. I had a fantastic weekend, honestly. I was able to not only catch up on some semi well-deserved rest, but mostly I had kicked back. I did some stuff around the house, caught up on some studies. I had covered the Battle of the Belts 8 special for the 401mania.com site. So if you guys want to know my thoughts about that, it's actually up on the website. But I had kicked off my weekend by seeing Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle at the Squared Circle Collectibles store. That's right, WWE Hall of Famer, TNA Hall of Famer, Pro Wrestling Hall of Famer Kurt Angle. And this was one of those take you back, take you back back. Do do do. Well, I said I've been told by some people, and they all said to take you back. Take you back like before. No, so, it was nice seeing the Olympic gold medalists once again. As many of you longtime listeners know, I actually had met Kurt Angle on the Chris Jericho cruise about 2 years ago. And everything with that, I did write up a full-blown review on meeting Kurt Angle this go-round and everything, so I'll do my best to not go all deep within the weeds. But for those of you that like to double dip, you like to verbally hear so that you can visualize, but then you also like to read the article as well. I have the article up on the Full One Mania site. It got published late Sunday, so sadly by the time Monday morning came, you know how it is for a lot of the wrestling websites, that article, it unfortunately got pushed back. I did my best to share it throughout social media. So for those of you that had the fortunate pleasure of reading it, if you could do me a huge favor, do your part and share it on your respective feeds. Leave a comment on that article as well. I don't know how many of you guys are connected with Discus, but if you are connected with Discus, you can easily, or I don't think you necessarily need Discus. I think you can sign up to comment on the article using a regular email or whatnot, but go out of your way, leave the comments. The more interactions, the better and everything, I always say. But I had a blast. It was great seeing him again, because unfortunately when it came to the Chris Jericho cruise, there was so much misinformation that was put out there about whether or not Kurt Angle was going to be doing autographs and everything. And sadly, we had found out, a whole bunch of us, when we came for the Kurt Angle meet and greet on the cruise, we were told while we were waiting in line, Mr. Angle is not signing anything. Repeat, he is not signing anything. And we're kind of like, wait, what? Say what? Right? It was just disappointment. Kurt Angle was great. I mean, he was totally great. He was one of the few wrestlers on that cruise that we saw constantly appearing in common areas. I remember at one point, me and the wifey, we saw him in the common food court area. And he was just kicking back, relaxing, and people were very respectful of him. They were going up to him and asking him how was he enjoying the cruise so far and everything. And, he was going back and forth, some nice chatter and all. That was really good. Now, this event was held by the good folks over at the Squared Circle collectible store. To my visual people, I apologize in advance if you're going to see a little bit of glare in my glasses. I don't have the typical frames that I normally like to wear. I have a special kind of glasses that has no glare, none of that, and unfortunately I left that bad boy in my car. So I was, trust me, I was scrambling around in the last minute trying to find it and everything. It was like, so if you see a little bit of glare in my eyes, I'm going to do my best to, try to make sure I'm looking directly into the camera and everything. That way there's not that much glare going on and everything. I mean, not for nothing, but I used to push these for a good minute before I had made the upgrade and everything. I want to show you guys just a couple of pictures from the Kurt Angle event. Shout out to the good folks over at the Squared Circle collectible store out in Winchester, West Virginia, for hosting the event. Staff there, always super friendly, very professional, great laid-back type of atmosphere, make you feel really, really good that your time, your money, and everything, just, they make it feel worthwhile and everything. And look, in this day and age where we've seen our fair share of some pretty bad meet and greets, it's nice to know that besides the talents that are coming, that you're trying to see, right? That's the main attraction for these meet and greets. It's also nice that we've got, really great staff members that's making sure that the experience for the fans is going pretty good as well and everything. And can I just pause it right there, or is it going to move to the next? Okay, so yeah. So here's the front of the store. for Squared Circle collectibles. And for our audio only listeners, you might want to just hop on the YouTube channel and look at around the 9-minute 20-second mark so you can start seeing the slideshow and everything. I didn't really have time to upload these images in a particular order, mind you, so I'm letting you guys know that right now, so apologies in advance. And there's the great meet and greet itself, me with Mr. Kurt Angle, wifey. Now, true story, I'll leave that photo up for a couple of more seconds. True story, as I was getting ready, and for those of you that's curious, as far as the combo that I had took advantage of, it was so funny, and wifey will tell you, because my mind was just going all over the place. Maybe I'll do this. No, I'm going to do this. No, I'm gonna do this instead. Okay, wait, no, that doesn't make any sense. So what I ended up doing was, not only did I do the photo op, I did a autographed 8x10, and I did a premium item autograph for Kurt Angle. Those were the three that I did. So I did like the ultra combo, and it was so funny because I think it was maybe the day before Squared Circle had put out a blast, and they were saying, hey, we've got for $40 a special Kurt Angle combo special, a Kurt Angle. I'm like, wait, what? A combo? What are you talking about? And it turns out it was a gold medal special, where basically for $40 you'd get a gold medal replica, and he would autograph that one and everything. And sadly, by the time I found out about that, it was, okay, I'm already going to the, right, I'm done. Like, my money's already locked up. I've already figured out what other stuff I'm going to do. It was nice and everything, but it's funny because when, I had approached the table and everything, I shook his hand. He looks loads better than when I saw him on the Jericho Cruise, by the way, because on the Jericho Cruise, he seemed as though at that point he was doing a lot of maybe he was into a lot of cardio or something, because he seemed much smaller. My wife pointed out to me, hey, not only does he look even more healthier, but he looks like he's been putting on some bulk. I said, yeah, like I kind of noticed that and everything. So believe it or not, this is actually a different picture, because the guy that was taking the pictures was super cool. He actually did like 5 different shots, believe it or not. And then there he is. There's Kurt Angle signing my big gold belt. Nice cool story with that, as we were getting ready to have the belt signed. Leave it to wifey. She goes, hey, Kurt Angle, tell you what, he's in some really good company there. And I'm like, huh? What are you talking about? And she goes, you don't realize where Kurt Angle's signing? I go, no. He's signing right next to Bret Hart. I'm going, and I said to her, get out of here. And she goes, no, seriously. I go, get the out of here. She goes, no, seriously, go back and check. Look at the belt before he signs it. I'm like, okay. So we're in line. I get ready to pull out the belt. Damn, she had a good memory. And I was like, yeah, you're right. It was like, he is gonna be signing pretty much right next to Bret Hart and everything. So I presented the Big Goldie to him. For those of you that don't understand, when I say Big Goldie, basically I'm referring to the World Heavyweight Championship. Was once WCW, and then it came over to WWE and all that good stuff. And so I said to Kurt, I said, hey, where you're signing, some really good company there. And I paused for about 3 seconds to see if he kind of would figure out who the autograph was next to where he was signing. And then I followed up and I said to him, yeah, it's like you're signing pretty much right next to Bret Hart. And he goes, oh man, I'm so honored. That's some really great company. I'm like, yeah. So it was really cool, man. He was very much like on the cruise. He was very laid back, very mellow, very chilled. you could definitely tell that, he is up for conversing and all of that good stuff. But sadly, it's, it's kind of one of those, you can't be too long-winded there and everything. Show you some more. Here's some of the people waiting in line. This was at the very beginning. We got there a little bit over 30 minutes before the meet and greet was to start, because this was a 1 to 4 p.m. event this past Saturday. And I love the fact that I gotta say, it was my first time, because I'm still a new driver. I've been driving since... Man, I think I've been driving since maybe April, I believe. And, I've been pretty much out there more and more, as a solo act on my own and everything. Pretty much, honestly, it was a case where once I got my license officially, because you know how it is when you have your learners, you always got to have somebody with you. And if you want to drive, somebody's always got to be with you during the respected time frame and everything. But ever since I had got my official driver's license, and I don't need any supervision. It's just a case where, hey, after a certain time, unfortunately, you can't be on the road and everything. I've been doing pretty good, especially when I've been hitting highways, freeways, and all that. I bring that up because for this particular trip to Squared Circle Collectibles, I was driving for about 90 minutes to get down to Winchester, West Virginia. And so pretty much I was on 270 South. Shout out if you know all of that and everything. I went through Frederick, Maryland, and I was going through a whole bunch of stuff just to ultimately get to West Virginia and everything. And wifey's like, hey, kind of slow down a little bit. And I say to her, look, just kick back, enjoy the ride. I got us covered. And she's like, yeah, but you've never been down this part before, so this is all new territory. I'm telling you. There's sudden stops, and anybody that's been on 270 South, I mean, you can definitely vouch for her that, there is a lot of sudden stops, and you really got to be on your A game when it comes to judging your distance and the braking and all of that and everything. And I was just Joe Cool. I said, yo, it's all good. Just go ahead, put on your makeup. I got this. Enjoy the music. Just, put on your makeup. I'm cool. Seriously, I'm cool. And, sure enough, 90 minutes later, we get on out there to the store, and I said to her, how do we do? And she goes, I gotta admit, that was pretty damn good for your first time, because she's rode with me when I've gone into DC or I've gone into Virginia, Landover, whatever, but this was the first time that she ever rode with me going through West Virginia. Because I told her straight up, I said, you could definitely do it going back. I just want to chill going back and everything. But we got out there with about a little over 30 minutes to spare. And there was plenty of parking spots. I had loved that. I love the fact that there was plenty of parking spots that was available. We weren't as fortunate last time when it came to the Bret Hart event and everything. So right around this little corner here, of course, I'm talking about the direction where you see this guy with the yellow shirt, and then you see the guy with the black hat. That's pretty much right beside him. We pretty much were around this brick wall corner right here. And I would say at that point, with about 30 minutes left to spare, there was probably I would say maybe about 70 people that were in line. It was a rather small line that was continuing to grow and everything. And here's from around that corner. Here's from around that corner, so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. Now, you guys got to keep in mind that apparently, and I didn't learn this until maybe about, I would say, a week before the Kurt Angle event, that Kurt Angle was actually a lot closer to my neck of the woods than I had realized. He had participated in a meet and greet event for the Adrenaline Championship Wrestling promotion. They did an event out in Hagerstown, Maryland. And, for me from here, that's about maybe 50 minutes of a drive, give or take, or maybe a little bit less than that. Actually, no, it's less than that. I think to get to Hagerstown for me, I think it would only take me about 30 to 35 minutes to get over there and everything. So had I known about that event, for sure I would have done Squirt Circle Collectibles, but the fact that there was a local indie wrestling fed, right? I'm a sucker for those. I definitely would have popped up and seen what was going on with them as well and everything. Show you guys a couple of other. Oh yeah, this was after everything was said and done with the Kurt Angle meet and greet. We had ate at Ruby Tuesdays. And this was the bomb. I tell you, I had some Jack Daniels mixed with some ginger ale, Voodoo Ranger IPA, in a chilled mug. I think we got some pictures of some of the food coming up too. Yeah, this is what I had. This was pretty much an early dinner. Pretty much had, as you can see here, I gotta explain it to our audio listeners only. Was chilling with a baked potato, grilled chicken, grilled mushrooms, shrimp, sauteed onions. It was really, really good, man. Really good. And my boys and Mish and Joe from Wrestling Soup, they gave me some fun hell. They're like, "What is going on with that salad, dude? Like, does that salad have enough dressing?" And I think Joe said my salad looks like it was something that came from the Guantanamo Bay, because I just drowned the SOB. I don't really like my veggies. So the way I try to enjoy my veggies a little bit more is by drowning them in blue cheese or ranch or whatever. So that's what's going on there. And then here we go with everything when it was all said and done and the event was pretty much over and all that. So as you can see, I got the autographed 8x10 of Kurt Angle. They had a nice photo spread too, I gotta say, as far as what photo you may want to grab. It was so hard because like me and a couple other people were looking at the photo spread and we're like, damn, it's so hard to choose, because they had some really good pictures of ball-headed version with Kurt Angle holding the medals, Kurt WWE era. They also had some TNA era pics, it looked like, in there as well. But they only had that one pic, this pic right here that I just showed you guys. You can't see it, but I'll give you guys a better look in a second. Let me see here. Actually, yeah, I can just move this up so you guys, there you go. Now you guys can see it a lot better without me actually going for the photograph. But this was the only photo where Kurt Angle was holding a WWF World Heavyweight Championship. And so me and a couple other people were like, this is so hard. Like, what photo do we go with? And I said to them, well, I think I'm going to go with this one because, I mean, come on, he's holding a world heavyweight title, and like that's what you should try to go for there and everything. And I think the next person was like, that was a good pick, but I'm gonna go with this one, and he went with a ball head Kurt Angle that was just, I think he was holding on to the flag or whatever. There was no championship around his waist or whatnot and everything. So, and if you're keeping track so far, so just to recap, I've got the photo up once again showing the big gold belt. So they're on the far, I guess it's going to be you all's left. My coordination is off, but you can definitely see Kurt Angle's autograph in, what is that, gold? I believe that's gold or silver. It's a little bit too far away for me to, that looks gold. I know the photo, that was in silver. Yeah, it looks like it's gold. And then right beside Kurt Angle's autograph, there you see Bret Hart. And then you go across to the other side there, that first joint you see, that's CM Punk. And then right beside CM Punk, I can blow it up a little bit better for you guys so you can see it. Help you guys out a little better. I'll try to blow it up as best as I can without sacrificing quality. There you guys go. So you can see it a lot better. So as you can see, we got CM Punk And then right next to CM Punk, we got Sting. And as Wifey had pointed out to me, she said, you only got one more space that's left, and then you're done. You guys couldn't see it, but as far as that side that Kurt Angle autographed for me, believe it or not, there's actually room. I'm trying to play around with this image and make it smaller. I think you guys have pretty much seen everything that's available. Yeah, you guys saw pretty much all that's available. So there's only one space left where somebody can sign, and then that's pretty much it. That belt's going to be done. I thought for sure I would be able to get people to autograph the opposite side of the belt. Like, I could just keep that going. And I don't know how it is for some of you guys that got the big gold belt, but for my big gold belt, on the inside, it's this weird red leathery type of material, and it just doesn't look feasible to try to get that autograph. If it was a case where the inside, it was black and it was pretty much matching the material to that of the leather straps, if it was somewhat of a similar material on the other end, on the other side, I would gladly just keep the autographs going and everything. But yeah, that's pretty much it. But yeah, it was a fun event. I had a really great time. It was nice seeing Kurt Angle again. It's not every day, I keep saying this, and this is the truth, it's not every day that you get to meet a wrestling legend, let alone an Olympic gold medalist. And it's not every day that you get to say you met that individual twice in your respective lifetime. So it was a great blast. If you want to learn a lot more, because there's a lot of things that I pretty much had skimmed over, you can definitely check out the article review up on the 401 Mania site. Great time, though. Really great atmosphere. It was nice seeing so many familiar faces from the last time I was there for the Bret Hart event. I had recognized so many people. It wasn't even funny, which was cool, because that's basically saying, when it's all said and done, these are the diehards that's going to always represent and keep supporting the store and everything. So Square Circle Collectibles, great job. Y'all did fantastic. Looking forward to the next one, as apparently Mick Foley is going to be popping up there, I believe, in about, did they say 5 weeks? It's either less than 5 weeks or maybe 4 weeks away that he's going to be appearing there. So I haven't quite made up my mind. I feel like I'm at about 60, maybe 70% right now that's saying I'm going to go. But I'm still not quite sure just yet. So I'll keep you guys posted on that one. So, hey, we had an interesting edition of WWE RAW tonight. There was a whole lot of other stuff that had went down this weekend as well. I'm aware of. We'll talk about that in a hot little bit. I know TNA Wrestling made some news for its own respected reasons, and I'm not just talking in regards to their Bound for Glory pay-per-view event, but we'll talk about that in a hot second. But tonight's WWE Raw, kind of interesting, because this was one of those kind of episodes where I gotta say, I couldn't help but shake off this weird vibe, or at least I was trying to shake off this vibe that something's off with this show. This show doesn't feel as though it's really popping, doesn't really feel like it's up to the standards of what we've been accustomed to these past couple of weeks and everything. It almost kind of felt a little bit of a Debbie Downer. And I couldn't help but just have that feeling, and I could not for the love of me shake it out throughout the course of the night. And here's what was so weird about that, with the exception of Logan Paul, and I say with the exception of Logan Paul because although I do appreciate what Logan Paul can do in the ring, just all the shady businesses that this man has been involved in, the controversies, and shout out to CoffeeZilla, who did a phenomenal job in really breaking down and exposing some of these scams that Logan Paul has been involved in and everything. Yeah, I'm looking at Logan Paul, and although I can try to appreciate his in-ring ability, I'm still looking at the man a little bit cross-eyed with one eyebrow raised and everything, going, yeah, you know, I'm gonna pay attention to you, but I'm gonna keep my hand on my wallet the whole time while I'm looking at you. It's kind of one of those type of deals and everything. But this felt like a little bit of it wasn't a bad show. It's just a case where there wasn't any, if you follow my work on the 401 Mania site, I break it down to you guys straight up and let you guys know, hey, if you got this on demand or on your DVR, as far as there's one match you need to go out of your way and check out, I'm going to recommend you watch this. There wasn't that match tonight on this episode, although I will give an honorable mention to Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn. That was fairly decent, but for the most part, this was one of those editions of Monday Night Raw where it relied heavily on the talking segments to try to help bridge to Crown Jewel, kind of even planting the seeds for Survivor Series and everything, and that pretty much was it when it was all said and done. So we had a contract signing for the girls that's going to be in that fatal five-way for the the women's championship at Crown Jewel. Of course, I'm talking about Rhea Ripley, who's going to be defending against Nia Jax, Zoe Stark, Raquel Rodriguez. Who else am I missing? That's part of it. I'm missing one more girl, Shayna Baszler. So it's a fatal five-way, Nia Jax. So it's a fatal five-way as Rhea Ripley defends against those other women. And I had appreciated how they tried to switch it up with the contract signing for this, rather than have your typical, okay, we're going to put a table in the ring and this person's going to talk trash and then this person's going to talk trash, and then somebody's gonna flip the table, there's gonna be an all-out brawl, yakety smackety. I like how they tried to switch it up a little bit, and they acknowledged it on television as they had Adam Pearce say to whoever was in charge of his security detail, hey, look, we got this contract signing that's going to be coming up. I don't care to know the number of how many security details that we have on hand, but we definitely need to double it to make sure that there's no shenanigans that go down that ringside, because the way that I want to do this, I just want to get in there, get these girls to sign on the dotted line, and then we are done. We are out. That's it. I ain't got time for that brawl and stuff. None of that. I'll get Raquel's signature. I'll get Rhea Ripley's signature later. I just want to get these other girls' signatures first, and then that's going to be it. So I liked how all of that was set up. And I also appreciated how Nia Jax was egging Adam Pearce and the other girls on, trying to find out, what's going on with Rhea? Why isn't she out here? Like, what's the deal? And Pearce was straight up with her saying, I don't want no craziness to go down here. I wanted for you girls to come out here because I wanted to get all y'all signature. I'll get her joint later on tonight. You ain't got to worry about. But Rhea Ripley decides she's going to come out there anyway, talking some hot trash. She's still salty at Adam Pearce for stacking the odds against her and everything. Nia Jax kind of realizing what's going on with this. She pretty much plays off of the words that Rhea Ripley says. It seems she was trying to get some girl power there on her side as far as detecting the BS that was spewing from the mouth of Rhea Ripley, but she messed up when she was being being sarcastic and degrading towards Raquel, because Raquel's, from the Texas area, and I believe Raw was in Texas tonight, and so she's talking down to her. The misconception, oh, well, if you're from Texas or if you're from basically the South, you're a person of low intellect, right? You're not that smart. So Raquel just started wailing on her. All the other girls start wailing on Nia, but then they start beating up on each other, which I just looked at that and I chuckled like a mofo at that. We also saw Rhea Ripley in action where she was backstage. I mean, this was, you gotta admit, Rhea Ripley, she seems to be the symphony orchestra conductor of Judgment Day. That is essentially what we could call her. I mean, hell, Cody Rhodes even kind of gave Rhea Ripley that nod when he was talking with Damian Priest and Finn Balor to kick off the show and everything, because he pretty much let them know, you guys swear all up and down that there's no leader of this group. It's pretty much one for all and everything, but you got Cody saying, look, I see the moves that Rhea is doing. Okay, it's obvious she's the one that is pretty much laying everything out. She's setting things in motion and everything, to Cody Rhodes' point. We saw Rhea approach Seth Rollins and make a very interesting proposition to him. She tried to play up to his ego a little bit, where she's saying to him, hey, look, we gave you hell early on in your reign as the world champion, but during the course of that, you, believe it or not, ended up getting Judgment Day's respect. And we got to tell you right now, we're not really liking the odds of you going into Crown Jewel against Drew McIntyre. We fear that with everything that's been going on with your back, that against Drew, the odds don't look so good in your favor. So the proposition that we want to give to you is, hey, let Judgment Day have your back and then some. And with us, I mean, look, man, Judgment Day, man, you won't be. A matter of fact, I have the direct quote here, because when I heard what she said, I was like, yo, I gotta make sure that I type that down, because that's a pretty interesting quote that she put out there and everything. And she says to Seth Rollins, right now you're just a world champion. You could be the world champion, all with help from Judgment Day and everything. And the one thing that she says to Seth Rollins is, you can do so much more than what Roman Reigns is doing right now and everything. So, I mean, what she was saying, I mean, it made a lot of sense, this sales pitch that she was given and everything. Rollins comes back and he says, the one thing that you got wrong about me is I am trying so not to, I'm paraphrasing, but he's saying, I'm so not trying to be like Roman Reigns. That's the last person I'm trying to be. No. And Rhea is silent for a few seconds, and she smiles and she says to him, but you didn't say no. So just think about that. And she leaves him to ponder and everything. As I'm seeing all of this play out, I couldn't help but think about Becky Lynch, right? And just because, I mean, we know, obviously, they're a couple and everything. I just couldn't help but think about Becky Lynch, and I got that famous Lucy Pearl song in my head, Don't Mess With My Man. I'm just going, how long before Becky Lynch maybe gets involved and pretty much says, yo, whatever you're trying to get brewed up, whatever you're trying to get going, like, yeah, my man's off limits. You can forget about him. He's already got a mommy. He already has a mommy. He's good, right? I'm kind of thinking along those lines and everything. But that was a very interesting development right there, where you're kind of teased Okay, so we've seen Seth Rollins in the past do whatever is necessary to maintain a vice grip over his World Heavyweight Championship. We have seen him before with a supporting cast and helping him try to keep that championship and everything. And look, not for nothing, but the way Rhea has spun it and everything was, hey, if Rollins considers joining the Judgment Day and everything, hey, maybe Damian Priest will go after another championship. So she pretty much alluded to the fact that, Damian will turn his attention to Roman Reigns, try to end that long title reign once and for all and everything. So, some very good stuff that you've got going on here. Of course, later on in the night, Drew McIntyre crossing paths with Seth Rollins. Drew gets wind of what had happened earlier in the night and everything, and that's pretty much, rubbing him the wrong way for all intents and purposes. So the two, believe it or not, they make some type of a little pack right then and there that coming up at Crown Jewel, it's just going to be a one-on-one matchup. There's not going to be any Judgment Day whatsoever. Because remember now, we've seen Rhea Ripley now. She's spoken to Seth Rollins. Let's not forget that a couple of weeks ago, there was that backstage footage that was shown of Rhea Ripley chatting it up with Drew McIntyre, right? So obviously Rhea is trying to do her best to play the sides and everything, right? So she's doing a lot of stuff here behind the scenes, man. She is truly the new cerebral assassin for all intents and purposes. And I'm loving it. I gotta say, I'm loving it for all intents and purposes. I was talking about Logan Paul. The crowd, they could give two craps not. Logan Paul basically was out there trying to sell this upcoming match against Rey Mysterio. Crowd could care less. I mean, it was just borderline flatline for my personal taste. But then Dominic Mysterio came out there, and that had piqued my attention. That definitely got me most curious and excited. And you talk about reactions for the night. That Texas reaction towards Dominic Mysterio, that was just, oh my God, that was off the chain, white hot. That man was so drowned out, it wasn't even funny. That probably was the only real reaction for the entire night, whereas everything you could definitely tell it wasn't matching up. You could tell everything else that was happening throughout this show was piped in, but when it came to Dominic Mysterio coming out there and everything, yeah, they didn't need to fake that whatsoever. Loved how Logan Paul tried to get Ricochet's fiance Samantha Irvine involved in everything, having her come into the ring and trying to give her props as a ring announcer, but at the same time saying, hey, let's give you your flowers. Come on, let's let bygones be bygones. Only to basically have her in there and say, hey, I know I beat your fiance at SummerSlam and everything, but come on, we got this match that's going to be coming up. We already know who the new champion is going to be, so which is me. So just go on ahead and declare me as the winner right now. Go ahead, come on, do it. Right, it's what you do best. Come on. And it's funny because initially I thought Logan Paul was going to use some of his tactics outside of professional wrestling. I thought he was going to go below the belt and say some raunchy stuff there. I was assuming wrong, but I thought he was definitely going to be right. But I love seeing Ricochet come out there, try to defend the honor of his woman and all that. It was a nice little segment for how it played out and everything. Some honorable mentions for matches that played out. Alpha Academy taking on New Day. New Day picking up the win. Yeah, decent little tag match for what it was worth. NXT Women's Championship, Becky successfully defending against Indy Hartwell. decent match, but the ending, it was so abrupt that you couldn't help but wonder, okay, is Becky all right? Is Indy okay? What exactly is going on here? Xia Li is continuing to appear on Raw this week. She jumped Candice LeRae after the conclusion of the Indy Hartwell-Becky Lynch match. Xia attacking Candice, basically, hey, I haven't forgotten about you. Right, so we still see her doing this stuff. It's nice to see that Triple H and crew, they haven't forgotten about Xia Li. They're trying to slowly bring her back into the groove of things for what it's worth. Now, Nick Aldis did appear on this episode, so if you had watched SmackDown, you know that Adam Pearce was ejected from the arena for that night's SmackDown. So this go around, Nick Aldis making an appearance. He's apologizing for what had went down on Friday Night SmackDown, a rookie mistake. He, let the whole notion of trying to be the best general manager get to his head big time, and he apologized for it. He admitted that things were pretty heated for what it's worth and everything, and all he wants when it's all said and done is healthy competition. Adam Pearce says, okay, well, you know what, just to give you an olive branch, stay, see how things are conducted on the A show, which is Monday Night Raw, and take some notes. Now, later on in the night, Adam Pearce did come across Nick Aldis. I'm trying to think what Nick Aldis was doing. I believe he was giving some type of advice. It involved The Miz. I remember Miz was complaining to Adam Pearce. Yeah, it's coming back to me now. He was complaining to Adam Pearce that these days it seems like he doesn't get to do anything on Monday Night Raw, despite everything that he's accomplished in his respective career. And Nick Aldis, he actually comes to the defense of Miz, and that definitely had ruffled the feathers of Adam Pearce, because he's like, dude, the hell are you doing? Like, you're just a guest. What the hell? Stand your freaking ground, right? So that's like the first strike for Nick Aldis and everything, right? You're just supposed to observe. You're just supposed to take notes. Well, second incident occurs in the night where Nick Aldis is chatting it up with Kaden Carter and Casey Catanzaro when Adam Pearce interrupts, and he pretty much tells Nick Aldis, dude, I don't like what's going on here. And Aldis just shrugs it off and rolls out. And they're like, what the hell? So look, all this that's going on right now, when it's all said and done, they are building up towards Survivor Series. That's what this is all about. Team Nick Aldis, Team Adam Pearce. That's what this is about, but you got to do a lot more than just at the core let it be about the GMs. There's got to be something here. You got to up the ante here, right? It can't just be Team Raw, Team SmackDown. You got to up the ante a little bit here. Hey, the winning team, the team that is able to get the overall victory for that respected brand, they will get a respected, a title shot of their choosing, or they will get a random later number in the 2024 Royal Rumble. You got to do some type of an incentive where, okay, this is what's going to be going on here. You just got to do something like that, I personally feel, to make this even more interesting. So I'm curious to see how on the road to Survivor Series, what's going on here between Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce, how that's going to continue to develop. So see some other stuff that had happened tonight on Monday Night Raw. We're almost done talking about Raw, by the way. This is quick as we've gone through it. Giovanni Vinci taking on Johnny Gargano. Gargano picking up the win. Not much. Not much to talk about there. I mean, that was just flatter than a can of soda, I personally feel. What else? Chelsea Green and Piper Niven taking on Natalya and a returning Nikki Cross. Nikki Cross is back. I love Nikki Cross. We haven't seen her in a good minute. We know that there were some reports that was floating around there by some of the wrestling sites that apparently Nikki Cross was supposed to have something to do with a new Wyatt family stable and everything, some type of a new version, but things sadly did not materialize. That would have been interesting. I'm telling you, that would have been interesting under different circumstances, and this isn't me just saying it now, but I remember way back when, before the reports even had came out that it was an idea that was being toyed with, I remember saying something along the lines of, if you want to do a new Wyatt family, involve Bo Dallas, involve Dexter Lumis, involve Eric Young, involve Nikki Cross, and there you go. You know, and hell, if you even want to get Karrion Kross in there, you could even maybe do something there. I mean, it's just unfortunate that things didn't materialize. You know, it sucks. One of the last rodeos that we had seen of Nikki Cross, she pretty much was backstage. If I remember right, she was constantly in the background shadowing Candice LeRae. And it just kind of seemed like maybe there was something there that she liked of Candice LeRae. I don't know, some type of kindred spirit. I don't know what was going on, but it seems now that's no longer the case, as Nikki Cross is just in this 1,000-yard stare where she is just like nobody is home. Nobody is home, right down to the point. Nikki was just standing there in the corner there, just off in the distance. I mean, just nobody's home. And finally, she just gets off of the apron and walks towards the back, and Natalya had to be out there doing the match by herself. This was, for me, not so much about the tag match. This was more about the story arc there for Nikki Cross and, you know, what exactly is going on with her. But I will give an honorable mention to the fact that my girls, Piper Niven and Chelsea Green, they've got some really great in-ring chemistry that continues to develop. Need to see more of them in action. I did mention Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn. Really good stuff in the match that they had did. Drew McIntyre going over Bronson Reed in a squash match against Akira Tozawa. That pretty much was a big old yawn. Your main event match, Damian Priest taking on Jey Uso. Damian Priest picking up the victory. Decent match. Relatively decent match. Post-match, Finn Balor comes in with the coup de grace. They look for a chair to pretty much repeat the same attack that they did to Cody Rhodes earlier in the night. They successfully were able to put a steel chair around the ankle of Cody and go to town on that ankle. So now essentially his status for Crown Jewel is up in the air because he put out a challenge to Damian Priest. Yo, let's go. Let's go at this one-on-one. Let's do it at Crown Jewel. You know, which the challenge was accepted. So that match is definitely going to be going down, so we think. Again, we got to figure out what's going on with the physical status there for our man Cody and everything. Speaking of Cody, Cody came on out there, limping and all, trying to help out his boy Jey Uso and everything, make the save. He was able to level Finn, avoids a chair shot from Damian by taking him out with a chair. Went to smash Priest's leg in with a chair, but Finn managed to save him to pretty much in that respected episode, and that pretty much was Raw when it was all said and done. So you had some nice developments going into your Crown Jewel match for what it's worth and everything, right? Logan Paul appearing, obviously he's We're continuing on to build up the United States Championship match, development and building up the Fatal 5-Way match for the Women's World Title, build up for Rollins, McIntyre World Heavyweight Championship. Now we got Cody, Damian Priest, that's been added. Right, and let's not forget, we've got Roman Reigns. I said Roman Paul. We got Roman Reigns defending the undisputed Universal Championship against LA Knight. So we're at 5 matches so far. You know, pretty solid card. I would imagine a couple more matches are going to be added. I would imagine the sweet spot is probably going to be maybe 10. We'll have to wait and see how that pans out. I don't know if I'll be covering Crown Jewel. I don't know if I'll be covering it because it's going to be happening not this weekend, but the following weekend. It's going to be Saturday afternoon, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. And I may be at work during that time, although wifey did say to me she has some type of a convention that's going to be coming up. And I'm normally not a fan of leaving my girls in the house by themselves. Of course, I'm talking about my dogs. I'm not really, especially my youngest one, my Yorkie. I'm not really a fan of leaving them alone for long, extended periods of time. So I don't know. I may actually see if I can have a personal day, and that way I don't have to worry about anything. I can just focus on. I don't know yet. But the worst case scenario, if I don't end up doing a live post show after Crown Jewel is over, then I would imagine there's probably, worst case scenario, I would do a post show after Collision goes off the air, and we can talk about Collision, and we can talk about the Crown Jewel post show. So I'll keep you guys posted on that one. Let's see, but yeah, we're done with the talk of WWE RAW, by the way. Really, this was one of those episodes where mainly it was about the storylines, the talking segments that you could get into, and that pretty much was it. Shout out to Impact Wrestling that did their Bound for Glory pay-per-view event in Illinois, where they're also doing a series of tapings in the Chicago area. I believe they wrapped one day up. I believe they're possibly doing 1 or 2 more days of tapings out there, and then they are pretty much going to be done. Alex Shelley is still the Impact World Heavyweight Champion as he successfully retained against Josh Alexander. Trinity successfully retained her Impact Knockouts World title against Mickie James. Jordan Grace won a 20-person intergender Call Your Shot gauntlet. The winner receives a trophy and a contract they can invoke anytime within 1 year for a championship match of their choosing. I would imagine Jordan Grace is gonna gun for the Impact World title. I have to wait and see how that plays out, or maybe she'll go after the Knockouts World title. We'll have to wait and see. Will Ospreay defeated Mike Bailey. ABC's Chris Bay and Ace Austin, love them as a tag team. They defeated the Rascals Zachary Wentz and Trey Miguel to become the new Impact World Tag Champions. PCO defeated Moose, Rhino, and Steve Macklin in a Monsters Ball match. Chris Sabin retained the X Division title against Kenta. It was a pretty solid card. I watched a little bit of it over the weekend in a Discord stream, and I was just poking my head, here and there. I haven't actually been able to sit down and, really watch the show in its entirety yet, but the little bit that I did see, I was nodding my head going, okay, this is pretty good. Great crowd was in attendance as well. I mean, they had those seats filled up. It was it was a decent sellout for Impact Wrestling. They had about 2,500 in attendance. But the biggest piece of news that had came from Bound for Glory is the fact that Impact Wrestling is no more. They had presented a video package where they had revealed that at their next pay-per-view event, which is going to be Hard to Kill, that's going to be coming up on January 13th, they're going back to basics, and basically it's the return of TNA wrestling. It's the return of total nonstop action wrestling. They officially brought the name back, the logo, all that cool stuff, and you're going, wow, now this is right. And for those that have been supporting the promotion, it's interesting. I saw mixed reactions. Overwhelming, it was positive, but I did take note of the fact that there were those that were looking at this in a negative light. You had those that looked at this and felt, okay, this is nothing more than a cheap pop. This is just a ruse. This is just a way to get people to get excited for nothing, and that's just it. It's nothing. What these guys are doing, it's nothing. It's irrelevant. What they're doing here is just cheap. It's very desperate. It's blah this, it's blah that. There was so much stuff that was being said negatively, while jokes were being made as well. And it's pretty obvious that these were people that had not checked out the Impact. Now I gotta say TNA because they've gone back to TNA. I have not checked out the TNA product in a long period of time, because even though I haven't covered TNA on a regular basis, when I would poke my head in, I saw enough to go, okay, they're doing this right, they're doing that right, hey, they're doing this, okay, I see you, that's great. And many times I have been heard here on this show saying, hey, when I get an opportunity to free up some money in the Sanders household, because I've got so many subscriptions and this over here and this over here, but I would like to regularly get a subscription so that I can access episodes of Impact Wrestling and all of that. And, I gotta say, they've got the right pieces that are in place as far as the talent goes. Some damn good story arcs that's going on as well. Okay, I mean, it's been nothing but good from what I've been seeing these past couple of years from Impact Wrestling. The main reason why I don't get to talk about Impact Wrestling enough is because I don't have access to Access TV. Right, that's really what's truly hurting right now. It's like I don't have access to that. If I did have access to it, I definitely would be talking about it on a regular basis. I remember one of the main ways I used to check out the Impact Wrestling was back in the day where they would stream the episodes simultaneously with the same episode that would air on Access TV. They used to air them on Twitch. And Melissa Santos used to be the host at one point. She would pop up in between commercials. Those were the good old days. She'd pop up in between commercials, and sometimes you'd see Brian Cage make a cameo. It was really, really cool, funny stuff and everything, man. It was good. It was entertaining and everything. But to my knowledge, they had stopped doing that. The Twitch streams I'm talking about. So it's like, okay, only one way you can access it was through Access TV. These days, it seems you can access the episodes on YouTube TV, which I think is a really smart move by TNA. Okay, not enough people have Access TV. Okay, no problem. We'll upload the episodes to YouTube. Hey, just give us $2, $3, $4, $5. You can access that. You can access this. So I think that's a very, very, very smart move to do right there. So, I'm all for them going back to TNA Impact. Remember, when all of this had, went down, first of all, we all were scratching our heads going, well, what's wrong with TNA? Like, don't quite understand that. Like, Why are you guys going away from that, and why are you all just calling yourself Impact Wrestling? That just, I mean, that's a nice name, but like, seriously, why are you? Makes no sense. So obviously that had a decent amount of people wondering what's going on here. Why are we going back to TNA? You know, not that there's an issue with that, but you know, what's going on here? And besides that news, CM Punk made headlines. Apparently he was at the Chicago tapings for Impact. And Mike Johnson, via PW Insider, he was the one to reveal this news and everything. Basically, CM Punk was walking his dog, Larry, and he just happened to be in the area. And he was hanging out backstage, interacting with a lot of the talent and management. And he hung out for about an hour. He watched some of the show, was given a lot of great feedback. Anybody that was to the point, anybody that was approaching him, asking him for some advice and everything, he was giving it, and you know, that pretty much was it. Now look, does this mean that CM Punk is potentially going to be doing something with Impact? You know, who knows? We got Survivor Series right around the corner, so you know, we would have to see how that plays out and everything. I mean, everything is up in the air right now at this point, right? So, but as far as Impact rebranding to TNA Wrestling, excuse me, the information that is going around right now, I'm trying to see. Hang on a second here. Oh man, I might have lost the article. Hang on. I might have lost the article, unfortunately, which would suck if I did lose it. Hang on here. I'm trying to see if I can find it for you guys. If I can't find it, then I'm just gonna have to go off of memory here. I think I found it. Hang on. Sorry about this, guys. Yeah, we were on a nice little roll and everything, too. So, along with returning to the TNA name, company officials had confirmed that the promotion will also have a new look, from the entrance ramp to turnbuckles in the ring to larger, more prestigious venues, and much, much more. The self-confessed culprit for the TNA name, of course, we all know Vince Russo, who wanted to give the company an edgier feel. The name change to Impact Wrestling, which had been the name of their weekly TV show, came after Anthem Sports and Entertainment purchased a majority stake in the company back in 2017. PW Insider, they're noting that the decision to revert back to the TNN name was due to a number of factors. One, it would unite the fragmented history of the promotion, which at different times was known as TNA, then Global Force Wrestling, then finally Impact Wrestling. Another factor that went into the mix in making the decision was that a number of the company's international partners, believe it or not, they preferred the TNA name, and at times were still using the name internally. And another factor is the fact that many fans were privately polled. You know, it was interesting because they were given this poll and they were told, hey, look, you know, how do you feel about the Impact Wrestling name for the company? You know, are you okay with it, or would you like to see it go back to TNA, or is there another name that you have in mind? And those that were polled had said, yo, we actually would like for the name TNA to come back. Now, of course, the one big question that's up in the air is the six-sided ring gonna be returning. I know the hardcore wrestling fans, that's something that they want to know. I know for most of the wrestlers that did work in TNA, I know that even the Hulkster and a whole bunch of other people, they said that it was much different operating in a six-sided ring, foot pacing wise and all that. It was much different than a four-corner ring, a squared circle. It was much different than that. So I wouldn't be surprised if the six-sided ring, I'm going to go out on a prediction. I'm going to say that the six-sided ring will return, but it's not going to return on a weekly television basis. I see that the six-sided ring is only going to be going down for special occasions. Like, I could see it returning for Bound for Glory. I could maybe see it returning for Slammiversary. Don't be too surprised if the six-sided ring returns 2-3 times a year max. I mean, if I could personally have it my way, it would be once a year. But I can see a case going down where it's 2, maybe 3 times a year max. We'll see. But keep what I'm saying in there for a prediction in the back of you all's mind, and just go from there. We've been rocking and rolling, man. We've been doing pretty good so far. We're at about the hour and 10-minute mark right now, at least on the recorder. I know the recorder, I've had it on for a couple of minutes. You guys are looking at about an hour and 9 minutes. That's actually not too shabby whatsoever. So a couple other little tidbits that we can get into, and then we'll pretty much wrap it up. Nice little short show that we got planned for you guys tonight so far. I did want to do my best to keep it nice and short for all intents and purposes here. So in some other wrestling related news that I can bring to you all's attention, we can talk about here on the show. So coming up this week, as a matter of fact, this Tuesday, there is going to be a pre-trial hearing for Kimber Lee on DUI charges. The former NXT and Impact Wrestling wrestler Kimber Lee has a pre-trial hearing on charges of DUI and more. That's going to be taking place Tuesday. Kind of refresh you all's memory a little bit. Remember, Kimber was arrested back on May 11th in Sebring, Florida, and charged with DUI, resisting an officer, and then with violence and battery on a law enforcement officer as well. PW Insider reports that a hearing is going to be taking place Tuesday on the matter. Lee was arrested after, according to a police report, an officer saw her in her car facing the wrong direction, stopped on a roadway. The officer made a traffic stop and the car began moving, nearly colliding with the guardrail and then stopping in a parking lot of a shopping center. Lee was driving and allegedly slurring her words, with the officer noting that she kept forgetting why she had stopped. Jesus, and asked the officer several times, basically, why was she being messed with. She allegedly tried to leave the area multiple times to retrieve her laundry from a laundromat, and when the officer tried to place her in handcuffs, she struck him in the chest to stop him, which led to her being arrested for battery on a law enforcement officer. Lee continued to resist and, per the report, kicked the officer in the chest, busting their lip. She had a blood alcohol level of 0.14. The legal limit in Florida is 0.8. When asked to give a second sample, she allegedly failed to comply and failed to give a sample on purpose. She entered a not guilty plea to all charges on July 7th. So that all is what's going on with her. Florida, it's 8, but it's 14. I mean, what is it with Florida? Can anybody explain this to me? What the hell is it with Florida? We got Tammy Sitch that's been doing her stupid shit out there in Florida. We had Kimberly. I could have sworn Jeff Hardy did something in Florida as well. I know Jey Uso did some shit in Florida in his time. Was it or Jay or Jimmy? One of them or both of them? Who knows? You know, it's obvious that there's a lot of, you know, you want to get away with some stupid stuff. Apparently, Florida is the place that you need to be at and everything. I don't look, to my knowledge, as long as I've been on the air, I don't recall Kimberly ever being in the news repeatedly for stuff like this. That I would need to go back and refresh my memory of, as long as I've been on the air. Has she been involved in some other stuff? This, to my knowledge, this is the first time that some stuff like this has ever happened. Now, the little bit of research I did try to do leading up to tonight's show, I couldn't find anything, but it doesn't mean that there isn't something out there. Maybe I just did not look in the right places. I'll have to keep on researching. Hopefully when I join you guys Wednesday, I'll have some additional info. But the reason why I'm bringing all of that up is because, again, just to my knowledge offhand, there's not a repeated abusive history of this type of behavior from Kimberly. So I say that to say, be prepared. Most likely she is going to just get a slap in the wrist, do some probation, pay a fine. I can see some stuff like that going down, basically. Nothing more, nothing less. Definitely no jail time. None of that crap is going to be going down with her. So, yeah, this is weird because what happened to the Kimberly a couple of months back that basically said, hey, look, I'm at a different point in my life right now. Where, you know, I don't need the wrestling anymore, and I like this new civilian life that I have. And she like working at a veterinarian hospital clinic or something. She was taking care of animals, and it's like, okay, so this is your passion, this is your calling, this is what you want to go. Okay, well, bless you. Go do that. Hey, whatever makes you happy, go do it, pursue it. Right? And the fact that she is getting involved in all this, you know, this is one of those, I wouldn't be surprised if, besides going to some AA meetings, judge may say to her, you need to go get some therapy. You know, I'm recommending that you go see a psychiatrist, court order psychiatrist or whatever for the next couple of months. I wouldn't be surprised if all of that were to get pitched, because I tell you what, she has not been the same. She has not been the same since the Rascals guy that had the displeasure there of shaving that mustache the way that he did. Was that Zachary Wentz? I believe that was Zachary Wentz. That was just, yeah, she hasn't been really the same since that period of time. And I tell you what, shout out to, hopefully I'm thinking of the right wrestler. Hopefully I am thinking of the right wrestler. Give me a second here. I don't need anybody to comment in the chat because I'm already looking up the information right now. Yeah, Zachary Wentz is who I was thinking of. You know, good. You know what? Shout out to Impact Wrestling for, you know, giving him an opportunity as far as redemption goes and all that other good stuff. I mean, the timing of what had went down with him during that period where she was doing her thing on social media, lashing out at him and all that. It's like, I still think she is very screwed up in the head from just how that respected relationship ended and all that. And, you know, maybe this is that reality check that will kind of shake her up and maybe steer her in the right direction. We'll have to wait and see. Quincy Elliott had shared their respective thoughts on what all had came about with the WWE release and everything. Remember, they were released from WWE a couple of months back and everything, and they explained that while the release was unfortunate, it it was painful. It did create an opportunity for them to pursue other opportunities creatively, professionally, you name it, right? So they said, and shout out to Fightful for the transcript highlight here. In regards to their release, they said, to be honest, I've sat through so many releases. It wasn't something that shocked me by any means. It's not something that necessarily hurts. It hurt because it was a dream of mine, but in the moment I felt like, let me make moves and become an even bigger star than I was when I was in the WWE. I took it more as a shot on the chin, and I'm not the one who just dwells on things. I'm appreciative I got to show the world myself, but now I get to show the world myself with no rules, restrictions, or handcuffs. I now get to be the Quincy I always wanted to be. So, when it's all said and done, they're not done with wrestling, not by any stretch. And I tell you what, for Quincy Elliott, I know Sonny Kiss has arrived in TNA. I can't wait to see, because I'm telling you guys, when I get paid this week, one of the first things I'm doing, I'm getting me the TNA subscription on YouTube. And I am representing, I've already, from afar, been appreciating the work that TNA has been doing these past couple of years. But, the talent that they got over there is it is ridiculous. And I've always been a big fan and supporter of Sonny Kiss. So to now know that Sonny Kiss is going to be over there, I'm going to be paying very close attention to what's going on over there. But I tell you what, for Quincy Elliott, you see what's going on with Giselle Shaw. You see what's going on with Sonny Kiss over there now and everything, right? I mean, and Lord only knows, right? I would imagine that there's probably a couple other names that I'm either forgetting or not even aware of. That's also part of the LGBTQ plus community and everything. Take your little jokes or whatever at Impact and everything. But before AEW tried to make it be look at us, aren't we cool? Aren't we part of this new wave? Aren't we part of this new sensation? Before they started doing all that touting and everything, Impact Wrestling was, TNA Wrestling was originally where it was at, as far as, hey, we don't care who you are, we don't care what your sexual preference is, your religion, and just come as you are, and we'll take it from there. So we'll have to see what's going on with that, but I hope Quincy Elliott does well. The little bit of stuff that I had saw of them at NXT, it was interesting. I was reminded of a modern day Goldust meets Prince, and it was a weird combination that was going on there, man. So WWE looks like they're going to be moving forward with a reality TV show called Superstars of Tomorrow. Y'all may have forgotten about this, but there was a report that came out a couple of months back that WWE had filed a trademark to the name Superstars of Tomorrow, which would be used for a new show of some kind. Well, the Sports Business Journal reports that the program will be a reality show that follows nil recruits on their journey to be WWE superstars. This is in addition to an upcoming Hulu series that follows Bianca Belair and Montez Ford. So I'm really hoping that for these reality shows that's following, real life couples and all that, Montez Ford and Bianca Belair, they seem like a really good, strong, devoted, loving couple. But I've just seen my fair share of reality shows where sadly it's just too much exposure for couples, and they end up breaking up as a result. Like maybe there's some things that they learn about themselves and or their partner that they didn't know before, and just the totality is just right. And then there's the other case where, okay, you're already engulfed in the entertainment world as it is, and now the little bit of freedom that you have to yourself, that little personal slice of solitude, has now been sacrificed and is being invaded by cameras that's coming in, capturing your every move and all that. Yeah, not very good. Shout out to Mike Johnson, by the way. He's got a update on why WWE hasn't released Superfan, the story of Vladimir. This is something that I have been bringing up off and on for like, I would say almost 2 years now. And I've even quietly asked some of my friends in the podcasting world, some even connected in the reporting news world, you know, what is going on with this? And mom was pretty much the word. And we all were just kind of left to our own devices saying, okay, well, you know what? Our own vices, I should say, not devices, vices. You know, it's just kind of one of those, we were left to the conclusion, something bad must be going on here. Like, Vladimir must have done something that WWE is not exactly proud of, and they kind of want to put some distance between them and Vladimir before this blows up in their face. Like, what the hell? So, this documentary, my God, this was supposed to be out. I believe this was supposed to be out 2 years ago, because I remember, like, I remember when COVID, like, we were hearing this was, like, it was done. Now it was just a matter of when it was going to be released. I remember there were trailers for it floating around. It's like, oh, okay, cool. And then ultimately, it got shelved and everything. So Mike Johnson is a very close friend of Vladimir, the super WWE fan and everything. And as far as why it hasn't been released, here is what the deal is. And this is what Mike Johnson had to say. Trying to see what's going on here. Give me a second here. So I guess Mike Johnson had said this on the site, the way that it's looking. There are people I know who, on a consistent basis, have brought it up in WWE. And there's no evil here. No one's twisting their mustache going, ha ha ha, or screwing Vladimir. I don't think anybody's purposely gone out their way not to release it. It's just been, there's some shifting in their landscape. And I think it's something that's unfortunately been lost in the cracks. And then as far as the documentary itself, Mike Johnson went on to say, I think people will love it, and it's about someone I care about on a very deep basis. He's not even my friend. He's like my brother at this point. And if I'm lucky enough to have that voice where I can be where I can remind people, hey, remember this thing you did that you spent money on? That is really special and should be out for everyone to see. That will make your company look better. I'm going to do that. So, kind of interesting, what's going on here. And as some of the fans had pointed out on social media, hey, he's been to a few AEW pay-per-views. He was shown on camera. And, if he is still going to the WWE events, they pretty much have been showing him less and less and everything. So, it's interesting. It's interesting because as one fan had put it, I don't know, for a guy who has been at every WWE show ever back in the day and has probably spent six figures easy on their company. I don't know why they would have it out for him. There's probably just people in the company who don't see the benefit of releasing something about a mark that isn't revolving around someone they invested money into themselves. It was probably made and greenlit, then someone in the company saw it and was like, why are we putting resources and money and airtime into something about a mark? I'd guess something like that before I'd say they were mad because he attended AEW or something. The dude dedicated more money and time to their company than probably anyone else. You know, it's a very valid point. It's a very valid point. I can understand if a lot of other fans or people, you know, kind of have that same thought process as well. You know, it's a very delicate situation. I mean, on the one hand, you know, again, this guy has probably spent over six figures going to these events. Right? Diehard fan. This is a diehard fan. This is one of those type of deals where if this documentary is never going to see the light of day, then the next course of action that WWE should do is, okay, look, we're not interested in releasing this, you know, under Peacock but look, if you guys want to go see if maybe Netflix would be willing to pick this up, or if you want to see if Apple or Amazon, or, you know, you fill in the blanks, if you want to see if these guys would be willing to, you know, put it out there and everything, you guys got our blessing. You know, this happens sometimes. There will be a documentary, or I can't tell you how many TV pilots back when I used to work in market research and we were organizing focus groups. A lot of times we would do stuff for NBC or Investigation Discovery. We would do stuff for Fox, and there would be some, you know, TV shows. Basically, it would be like a pilot that we were trying to, you know, get some feedback on and everything. And sadly, that pilot, it didn't make it. It didn't make it past the focus group. You know, because there were a lot of things that was wrong, and as far as areas of improvement, you know, the focus groups, they would give their thoughts and all of that, and, you know, it happens sometimes. Now, if you have a pilot that is, you know, fairly decent, kind of seems like it has a really good chance, and, you know, and all that other stuff, you know, if your focus groups aren't really giving it the green light, and ultimately that production company or that network decides they want to pass up on it and everything, sometimes that network will be like, look, if you guys want to go pitch this to somebody else, you know, you've got our blessing. You can go do it, especially if it turns out they'll go ahead and they'll pick it up. You know, go ahead, you guys got our blessing. You know, for example, Black Lightning, one of my all-time favorite TV shows of a superhero, of a black superhero. Nonetheless, I'm still mad that TV show is done. You know, it's still hard for me to wrap my brain around that. It has been 2 years now, a little bit over 2 years now, and Black Lightning is, you know, it just feels like it's been on this weird hiatus, but like maybe it'll come back real soon or whatever. But when the series was initially produced, I'm trying to think who it was initially. It kind of Fox. It was Fox. Initially, the series was greenlit for a pilot and all that other stuff. It was a pilot commitment. that I can remember. And for whatever respected reason, Fox decided that they were going to back out. So nothing had got filmed. They just decided, you know what, we're just gonna back out of this. They ultimately felt that it really wouldn't be a good fit and everything. So, but they gave them, blessing. They were like, look, if you guys can, get a deal elsewhere, we would be more than happy to put in a word for you with some other networks, see if we can get you in touch. And look, if it can happen, great. And the rest was pretty much history as far as the CW goes and all that other stuff. When you look at Cobra Kai, initially Cobra Kai, the people behind Cobra Kai, they had the intent to always have the series be released through Netflix. And when they initially took it to Netflix, they were like, look, we really believe in this concept. We think you guys got a great thing that's going on, all of that. But for what you're trying to do right now, we think that the better approach, the better success that you all would have is by going for a more smaller independent deal where you have more creative control to be able to do what you need to do and grow your base that way, grow your fan base that way. And give it a couple of years, come on back, and we're pretty sure that we'll be able to do business with you all then, and then some. So what happened? Ultimately, Cobra Kai was a YouTube Red series. Y'all remember that? It was a YouTube Red series. And it was so successful, right, for those first couple of years. And eventually, they were able to ink that deal. They were able to come back to Netflix. See, we told you, right? And the rest was pretty much history. So maybe that's the way that they need to go. Honestly, maybe that's the way that they need to go if they don't feel comfortable releasing this under the WWE Films umbrella and all that. But just some 2 cents on that from a distance. Speaking of TV shows, highly recommend you guys go check out the latest episode of Power Force. God damn. Episode 8. Oh, a turning point of an episode yet, man. It's interesting because we see Diamond, who is in this position. We pretty much have seen this with him during the course of the past 2 seasons. And Diamond, it feels like, much like Ghost, James St. Patrick's, where James St. Patrick, he is trying so hard to be involved in 2 worlds, but what he really wants to do is be in the civilian life. He wants to be completely out of the game and everything. And for these past 2 seasons with Force, it feels as though we've somewhat been on that journey, that same journey with Diamond, where he's been entertaining the idea of being so much more than CBI, being so much more than a drug dealer and all that. And things really came to a head with this past weekend's episode where, and you just, for Tommy, I would imagine for the character Tommy, who's been watching Diamond all this time, I would like to believe Tommy has been like, dude, you need to get your head on straight. You need to get in the right game already. You can't have both worlds. You just can't. It's got to be one or the other. You can't have both. And it's one of those deals where you go, well, Tommy, those same rules that you like to spit out there, dog, it also applies to you as well, because we see Tommy is somewhat trying to entertain the idea of, well, I can be a drug dealer, but I can have this going on as well on the side. And now it kind of seems as though he is just pretty much going, you know what, it is what it is. I'm just gonna play the hand that's been dealt for me. It is what it is. I know my role, but for Diamond, it just kind of feels like when he did try to talk to him early on and let him know, hey, my friend who I lost has pretty much been in that same position. I've seen where this ends. It just seems like after a while, Tommy just said, you know what, I'm just going to back off, and he's just going to have to cross that path on his own. And boy, when Diamond finally did on this past week's episode, yeah, buddy. I mean, that episode so screamed. What was that John Singleton movie? Boys in the Hood. That thing screamed Boys in the Hood. Great freaking season so far. Great season so far. I see that Mission Impossible Day of Reckoning 2 looks like, unfortunately, that's been pushed back because of everything that's been happening with the strikes and all that. I know the actors are supposed to be going back to the table and all of that. Writers, right, they're good now, but now it's the actors strike that we need to be concerned about. So if I'm not mistaken, Mission Impossible Day of Reckoning 2, it's been pushed back to 2025. Yes, it's been pushed back to 2025. I believe something happened from the Marvel standpoint as well. Let me see if I can get that for you real quick. It involved Captain America 4. I believe Captain America 4, which initially was titled New World Order, that now has been... looks like it's going to be slated to take Deadpool 3's place, because Deadpool 3 was supposed to come out next year, but because everything that's been going on right now with the strike, that's now being pushed back. There is no new date out just yet. There's no date, but it's expected. It's not confirmed yet, but it's expected that in that May 3rd, 2024 slot that was supposed to be Deadpool 3, it's now being said that Captain America 4 is going to slide in there instead. So we'll see how that pans out. But there's been a lot of that's been going on. Reminds me, there's some new episodes of Loki. I think I'm 1 or 2 episodes behind. I'm not sure. I gotta catch up on that already. Other than that, we got the NBA basketball season back in full effect. It starts this Tuesday night. We pretty much are going to get us a triple header or a quadruple header, give or take. I'm excited. I'm going to be watching all of those via DVR, but I'm still pretty excited for that. I love basketball. Most importantly, I love my inside the NBA on TNT crew. I miss Ernie, Chuck, Shaq, Kenny. Love those guys. I mean, they've got the best banter that is around today for sports talk show, and then some, because they do a really good job getting into some real life topics as well and everything. So look, we are at about the 1 hour 40-minute mark. Let's go ahead and call it. So your next edition of the RCWR show, that's going to be coming your way on Wednesday, October 25th, 2023. Will be a couple of minutes on after AEW Dynamite goes off the air. We'll cover Dynamite Fallout, get into some AEW news. We'll also take a look at the latest TV ratings for some of the shows from this past week. Loads of other stuff that we'll definitely be able to get into. So definitely join me for that. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. Meantime, be kind, rewind, check out previous episodes you might have missed on demand and on the downloads wherever you get your podcasts. Just search the RCWR Show. You can get at me on the X, formerly known as Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Use the keywords the RCWR Show. By the way, I gotta close the show out with this note. I saw the most coolest comment from over the weekend, and I wanted to share this. It just put a smile on my face, and it made me think about, so many people that I remember were coming up with me during this time period that this fan mentions. And then it also made me think about those that are no longer here, still doing their thing all these years later. They dropped out at some point. Maybe they dropped out after 3 years or 5 years, but they're not around. Shout out to Jing Jingish Shank 1. Hopefully I'm saying that right, but if I'm butchering it, I do apologize in advance. Who said, good to see Lee still around. Reminds me of the Bruce Blitz and OTRS Central era of YouTube. I remember that era extremely well. Way before Solo Monster had came on to YouTube. Way before Joe Cronin, way before, like, I remember the old heads that were around pretty much during the YouTube or the what is it, the YouTube wrestling community is what it's called. I remember those early days. I was part of something that was very, very timeless and magical way back when. It was really, really cool. And there were only certain people that were around during that period, especially, and let me clarify that. There were certain people who, okay, if you really wanted it right between the eyes, myself and a few others were the ones, okay, these are the guys that you come to. You know, before it became every Tom, Dick, and Harry will just, you know, in today's day and age, you know, those like myself that cared about telling it like it is, quality over quantity, and really going that extra mile as far as preparation and, you know, paying attention to the detail and all of that. You know, there was just a handful of us that were around way back when, way before even the wrestling podcasting game had exploded. I remember those days oh so well. So it's interesting at times when I think about those that's no longer here, but then I think about, you know, those that are still around, and you know somebody's going to be around for a long time, you know, after. Okay, wow, here we are, year 4, and you're still around. It's like, okay, yeah, you probably aren't going anywhere. If it's 4 years later and you're still around, yeah, you're probably not going anywhere, which is cool, right? So, speaking of colleagues and everything that I think about, shout out to Anthony Missionary Thomas, Joe Numbers of Wrestling Soup. Shout out to Julian Cannon of Digiday and the Nocturnal website. Again, check out his article up on the Nocturnal about his experience at this year's New York Comic Con. It was really, really bad, and the way he breaks down his experience, whew, I mean, it was a really bad experience at New York Comic Con. I'm glad I did not go. Seriously, I had got press passes to go, because originally the only way I was going to go up to New York Comic Con was if I had got a panel, because I wanted to do a panel at the New York Comic Con. And for whatever respective reason, they passed on the panel, even though we were able to show them great analytics, feedback, the whole 9 yards of our panel. They weren't interested in the panel, but they were interested in me covering the event of theirs as a member of the press media. And it was just one of those, man, I'm not driving all the way out to New York, pay those damn tolls, which is going to be a couple of $100, right? At least about $100, maybe almost $150 in tolls, give or take. Excuse me. Then got to pay for a hotel for a couple of days. Then got to make sure I got money to eat out. And like, I was not, that was going to be easily at least, you know, that was going to be easily at least $1,000 that I was going to lose within like 2 or 3 days. I wasn't really interested in that, and not really having anything to show for. Yeah, wasn't interested in that whatsoever. And I'm glad I ended up not going. I'm glad I ended up not going, because I was telling my wife, I said, my gut instincts is telling me we don't need to be going to this New York Comic Con. And by the time you get done reading Julian's review of his experience, you just go, talk about dodging a bullet. Like, even if you didn't plan on going, I guarantee you, by the time you get done reading that, you're going to be like, whew, yeah, that sounds pretty rough. Speaking of articles, make sure you show my article some love on the 401 Mania site in regards to my Kurt Angle meet and greet. Pretty easy to find. All you got to do, once you're on the 401 Mania site, you'll see a search bar box in the upper right-hand corner. Just type in Kurt Angle. And as soon as you do that, you see a picture of Kurt, myself, wifey, from October 22nd, and it's titled Kurt Angle Squared Circle Meet and Greet 2023 Review. And show that some love, whole 9 yards. Really appreciate that, all right? And yeah, that is going to do it, y'all. Until next go round, wishing all of you all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. See you guys this Wednesday after AEW Dynamite. Take care, y'all.